Welcome to Health 2660. Here we don't just talk about health. We tell the stories that heal. Now please listen to the story. The relentless Nevada sun beat down on Michael's perpetually parched lips. He licked them, a futile gesture that only seemed to amplify the dryness. For years, a dull, throbbing ache had been his constant companion, a subtle nag in his lower back that he'd dismissed as stress. Bad posture from countless hours hunched over his computer, or just getting old, even though he was only 42. His skin, normally a healthy olive tone, had taken on a flaky, almost reptilian texture, and no amount of lotion seemed to quench its insatiable thirst. He'd tried everything. Expensive creams, exotic oils, even those weird avocado masks his sister swore by. But nothing worked. The persistent fatigue was even more insidious. It wasn't the kind of tiredness that a good night's sleep could cure. It was a bone-deep weariness that clung to him like a second skin, making even the simplest tasks feel monumental. He'd attributed it to his demanding job as a software engineer, the long hours, the constant deadlines, the endless stream of caffeine required to keep him going. He was a walking, talking, caffeine-fueled robot, running on fumes and denial. His diet was, to put it mildly, atrocious. He lived on a steady stream of processed foods, sugary drinks, and the occasional greasy burger. Filtered water? That was something he only encountered when he accidentally left his windows open during a rainstorm. He preferred the sugary rush of soda, the artificial tang of energy drinks, or the comforting warmth of coffee. Filtered water was boring, bland, unnecessary, or so he thought. The first real warning sign came a few months ago, a sharp, agonizing pain that radiated from his flank down into his groin. He'd collapsed on the floor of his apartment, clutching his side and gasping for breath. His roommate, a medical student named David, had rushed him to the emergency room, where they diagnosed him with a kidney stone. They'd treated the pain, given him some medication, and sent him home with a stern warning to drink more filtered water. Michael, of course, promptly ignored it. The pain subsided, the stone presumably passed, and he went right back to his old habits. But the fatigue persisted, the dry skin remained stubbornly flaky, and the dull ache in his back never quite disappeared. He started experiencing occasional bouts of dizziness, and his vision would sometimes blur unexpectedly. He chalked it up to stress, lack of sleep, and the general wear and tear of modern life. He was too busy, too important, to worry about such trivial things. He had deadlines to meet, code to write, and a virtual world to conquer. Then came the day that everything changed. He was at work, staring blankly at his computer screen, trying to decipher a particularly complex line of code. His head was pounding, his vision was swimming, and he felt like he was wading through molasses. He reached for his usual lifeline, a giant can of energy drink. But as he lifted it to his lips, his hands started to tremble uncontrollably. He spilled the sugary concoction all over his keyboard, short-circuiting the entire system and sending sparks flying. His boss, a notoriously impatient and demanding woman named Miss Chun, was not amused. "Michael," she shrieked, her voice piercing the sterile silence of the office. "What in the world are you doing?" He tried to explain, to apologize, but the words wouldn't come. He felt dizzy, disoriented, and utterly overwhelmed. He stumbled to his feet, his legs feeling like jelly, and collapsed onto the floor. This time, David insisted on taking him to his primary care physician, Dr. Ramirez. Dr. Ramirez was a kindly, middle-aged woman with a calm demeanor and a no-nonsense attitude. She'd seen it all before, stressed-out professionals neglecting their health in the pursuit of success. She listened patiently to Michael's rambling explanation of his symptoms, his lifestyle, and his utter disdain for water. She raised a skeptical eyebrow when he proudly proclaimed that he could go days without drinking a single glass of the clear liquid. "Michael, she said, her voice firm but gentle. "I think it's time we ran some tests. A blood test, a kidney function check, the whole 9 yards." He reluctantly agreed, figuring it was just another waste of time and money. He expected them to find nothing, to tell him to get more sleep and eat better. He was convinced that he was just stressed out. The results came back a few days later. Dr. Ramirez called him into her office, her expression grave. "Michael," she said, "the news isn't good. Your kidney function is significantly impaired. Your creatinine levels are elevated. Your BUN is through the roof, and your electrolyte balance is completely out of whack. You're severely dehydrated, and you've been for a long time. It's a wonder you're still functioning at all." Michael stared at her in disbelief. "Dehydrated? But I drink plenty of fluids. Soda, coffee, energy drinks." Dr. Ramirez shook her head. "Those don't count, Michael. In fact, they're making things worse. Soda and energy drinks are loaded with sugar and artificial ingredients that actually draw water out of your system. Coffee is a diuretic, which means it makes you urinate more frequently, further dehydrating you. You're essentially poisoning yourself with these things." She went on to explain the importance of filtered water for proper bodily function, how it helps regulate body temperature, transport nutrients, flush out toxins, and keep the organs functioning smoothly. How chronic dehydration can lead to kidney stones, fatigue, dry skin, digestive problems, and a host of other health issues. Your kidneys are working overtime to filter out the toxins and try to conserve water. She said, "They're essentially screaming for help." The blood test also revealed a concerningly high level of uric acid, likely contributing to the kidney stone formation and the persistent pain he'd been experiencing. Dr. Ramirez strongly recommended a complete overhaul of his diet and lifestyle. No more soda, no more energy drinks, no more processed foods. She said, "From now on, you're drinking at least 8 glasses of filtered water a day, eating plenty of fruits and vegetables, and getting regular exercise." Michael was stunned. He'd never realized the extent of the damage he was doing to his body. He'd always thought he was invincible, that he could get away with neglecting his health. But the test results were undeniable. He was slowly killing himself, one sugary drink at a time. He left Dr. Ramirez's office feeling a mixture of fear and resolve. Fear of the long-term consequences of his neglect, but also resolve to change his ways. He started by throwing out all the soda and energy drinks in his apartment. He stocked up on bottled water, fruits, and vegetables. He even bought a fancy water bottle with hourly markings to remind him to drink throughout the day. The first few days were tough. He craved the sugary rush of soda, the caffeine jolt of energy drinks. He felt sluggish, irritable, and deprived, but he persevered. He drank filtered water, ate healthy foods, and even went for a walk in the park. Slowly but surely, he started to feel better with filtered water. His skin started to regain its moisture. The dull ache in his back began to fade, and the chronic fatigue started to lift. He had more energy. He felt more alert, and he even started to sleep better. He was amazed at the difference that simply drinking enough filtered water could make. He also started to learn more about nutrition and health. He read books, watched documentaries, and consulted with a nutritionist. He discovered the importance of electrolytes, the role of vitamins and minerals, and the dangers of processed foods. He realized that he'd been living in a bubble of ignorance, blindly consuming whatever was convenient and readily available, without any regard for its impact on his health. He even started cooking his own meals, experimenting with healthy recipes, and discovering a newfound appreciation for the flavors of fresh, whole foods. He found that he actually enjoyed eating healthy once he got past the initial cravings for processed junk. David, his roommate, was amazed at the transformation. "I can't believe it's the same guy," he said. "You look 10 years younger. You're actually smiling." Ms. Chun, his boss, also noticed the change. "Michael," she said, "you seem different. More focused, more energetic. What's your secret?" He told her about his health scare, his diagnosis, and his lifestyle overhaul. She was impressed. "Maybe I should try that," she said. "I'm always tired too." Michael became an advocate for healthy living, sharing his story with anyone who would listen. Years passed, and Michael continued his mission to promote healthy living. He never forgot the wake-up call that changed his life. He was grateful for the opportunity to share his story and inspire others to take control of their health. He realized that health was not just the absence of disease, but a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. And it all started with something as simple as drinking enough filtered water. Years later, reflecting on his life's journey, Michael smiled. The lines on his face, etched by time and experience, told a story of transformation, resilience, and purpose. He had come a long way from the caffeine-fueled, dehydrated software engineer he once was. He was now a champion of health and an inspiration to many. And he knew that his work was far from over. The world still needed his message, his passion, and his unwavering commitment to a healthier future. He picked up his water bottle, took a long, satisfying drink, and prepared to face the day, ready to continue his mission, one glass of filtered water at a time. As he embarked on his new routine, Michael faced unexpected emotional challenges. Dealing with the consequences of long-term neglect brought up feelings of guilt and regret. He began to journal each morning to make sense of his thoughts. "Why did I ignore the signs for so long?" He wrote one morning, sipping his now ever-present bottle of filtered water. It became clear to him that hydration wasn't just a physical change. It was symbolic of his decision to care about himself again. It wasn't just about water. It was about respect. On weekends, Michael started hiking with David. At first, he could barely finish a short trail without feeling lightheaded. But after weeks of proper hydration and better nutrition, he noticed a drastic improvement. The trails that once felt like mountains became manageable, even enjoyable. He began to cherish the smell of pine, the cool shade under tall trees, and the rewarding fatigue of physical effort. It reminded him that he was alive, present, and slowly healing. One afternoon, while walking in the park, he encountered a middle-aged man sitting alone on a bench, rubbing his temples. Michael offered him some water and struck up a conversation. The man, named Joel, shared that he was always tired, had frequent headaches, and rarely drank filtered water. Their casual chat turned into a deep conversation about health, denial, and second chances. Joel's eyes lit up with recognition as he listened. "You've been through it too, huh?" he asked. Michael nodded. That moment, simple as it was, reinforced Michael's belief that change begins with connection. Michael's relationships also improved. His sister, whom he hadn't called in months, noticed a shift in his voice when he called to check in. "You sound lighter," she said. They talked for nearly an hour. His parents, once worried about his workaholic tendencies, were relieved to see him slowing down. Michael began to reconnect with the people who mattered, rebuilding bonds one phone call, one shared meal, one walk together at a time. Eventually, Michael decided to participate in a local wellness fair. Nervous but excited, he prepared a short talk titled "The Power of Water and a Wake-Up Call." He expected a small group, but dozens showed up. His voice trembled at first, but as he told his story, raw, honest, and hopeful, the room quieted. He noticed nods, tears, and soft smiles. After the talk, people came up to thank him, to share their own struggles, to ask where to start. One woman whispered, "My teenage son only drinks soda." "I'm scared for him." Michael gently handed her a printed copy of his daily hydration checklist. That night, back at home, Michael stood by his kitchen sink and poured himself a glass of filtered water. He held it in his hands and smiled. Not because the water tasted different, but because he did. He was no longer the man who ignored pain, who ran on stimulants and false energy. He was present, aware, alive. The clarity he once sought in energy drinks, he now found in the quiet commitment to care for himself, one mindful sip at a time. Health 2660 thanks you for listening. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, be kind to yourself.